All right, with all this loud noise behind me, I'm hoping we can catch what's happening here. This is an RCI 2950 10-meter rig. Went to use it for, what do you call it, field day. Turned it on, and all kind of strange anomalies happened with it. So hopefully we can duplicate that. You know what, before I do that, let me hook a dummy load to the back of it. All right, so now I got the dummy load hooked through the watt meter, and I'll try and get it close enough so you can hear what's happening. But let's turn it on. Power supply, I have a 15 amp power supply there. Already it's sounding better than it did before I turned it on, and I really didn't get much sound or anything. Alright, well, let's just see when we key it up what we get. Let's turn it on. There's AM, upper sideband, lower sideband, CW. Let's key it on AM and see what we get here. It's on the 20 watt scale. So full deflection would be up here. Let's see. So just knock off 2 zeros basically. I'll zoom in a little bit there. So it seems like we're getting about 5 watts out. Let me make sure that everything's turned up. Try sideband and now we're not getting anything out. That's right here. One thing I do want to look at, I have some really thin leads here. Let's try a thicker lead and see. I didn't expect to even get this far with it, actually. When I turned it on in the car, I wasn't getting any sound. It just, all kind of things were acting weird. So let me get us a little bit better wiring going on here. All right, so take 2. As you can see, I have some beefier wires in there now. All right. What the heck? Let's go up. I don't want that. Let's go to shift. 28, we'll go back to 28.4 and do a dummy load. Let's turn it on AM. Oh, there we go. As you can see here. Oh, I don't know, about 10 watts. Let's try it. Let's see what we get with sideband. There's upper sideband. All right, with upper sideband, it's peaking it off there. Let's look at FM. All right, with FM, about 10 watts. I don't remember what the setting was for this. There we go. With AM, let's try it and modulate it. Hello. You can see the ALC kicking in a little bit. When I started to get loud, it pushed it back down. All right. So now this is going to start making noise. Now the AC has stopped. Stop! Let me get something to put on the lid here. Keep it quiet. All right, so do I attribute this all to ghosts in the machine? Anyhow, the issues I was having with it was, first off, when I turned it, I had no sound. Wouldn't do anything that was real sporadic. Let's see. The power output also seemed to be really sporadic. But I wasn't going to do a dummy load, so just want to see. That's kind of interesting. Alright, put that in there. It's hard to do these things while you're filming with an iPhone that you're holding. I've had all kind of camera incidents and everything, so I'm doing my best to get through this. Alright, let me poke around and see if I can simulate any of the problems I found. Or if it's just going to work fine and I'm crazy. Well, I was just getting some popping or static crashes. And now it stopped. Alright, so here we go, take 2, trying this again. Well, don't seem to be a problem there. Let's shift this up to somewhere in the middle. Alright. Let's put it on. AM or FM should be about 10 watts for this radio. So let's see. That's SWR, so let's put it on power, and we're on. Oops, sorry about the fingers there. We're times 20. I mean, we're at the 20 watt scale, so drop 2 zeros, so 10 watts would be right about where it says 1,000. Let's see. And perfect, right now. And it should do, I think, 25 watts peak. Now this, even though it has a peak function, it doesn't really work very well, but we'll put it on single sideband. So it's definitely doing over 20 watts. So let's check out the power supply, since I've never had a chance to check this out. While we're here, this came with the ICOM radio. Make sure it stays relatively in the area 13.8 or whatever it is, and let's check the current. We'll get that set up. We'll go with current first, since I already have it set up for that. So on monitor about 0.8. 5.3. That's what it's saying. Let's see what we get when we go for AM or FM. 4.05, and again, that's at the 10 watts. Got a lot of noises going on down here. All right, 13.9, let's see. Key down in FM. 10 watts, stays perfect. Let's try the sideband. No, I'm not wearing a sweater, I just have hairy arms. All right, let's try this. All right. Power supply doesn't waver. I guess if I had to shotgun any part in this, I would probably go toward it needs recapped. I don't know if I really feel like getting into that right now until I get a more hardcore problem. Let's see what it does with its memory. So 28.5. It's the 28. Now if we just turn the power off. Wait about 10 seconds in between there. Alright, so when the battery's still connected, I'll look that up. That'll at least give us one thing to look at. Alright, here we are back again with the Ranger. So from what I gather, there was an old version, and then there was the old version and the new old version. And one had a battery, and the other used capacitors for the memory. So the issue with this, and if you remember, was that when I would disconnect it from power, it would immediately forget. Within just seconds, it would forget the channel or the frequency I was set to, and so that's one thing I want to look at. And then I'm pretty sure, if I can get that off there, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to order a capacitors to redo all the capacitors in here. This radio got to be close to 30 years old one way or another. I don't know what happened to it. I missed saying I'm recording, but the video's gone. All right, so before I button it all up, did a little bit of research. This capacitor right here, I think, might take the place of the battery, because the battery was a pretty big thing. Like I said, it was like a 2032. It's a big thing, and it was down in here. And the other radios that I looked at did not have a capacitor here, but they had a battery. And this is a really odd size. It's 1,000 microfarad for that little tiny sucker there. So I'm going to pop it off and check it. And not to mention, it's kind of mounted. Looks like it's mounted on a surface mount pad, but it, obviously it's a through-hole component. Let me, I'm going to pop that off, hopefully. We'll get a look at it and see. And then we'll put it on ye old capacitor tester. And that'll make up my mind for sure whether I want to recap this whole thing. All right, and I'll make a note here that the negative, which is the ground, is at the top. All right, so yeah, the negative was at the top, and it looks like, well, maybe C4 might be the designation for it. Can't really tell for sure. But let's check that. Show you here is where that came from. I'm just going to turn that back off. Zoom in. And I don't know why that ever works. There it is. It's right here. Here where it says C4, these two pads. The negative was the upper one. So what did we discover? Absolutely nothing. We know it works. At least it gives us a value. It behaves on there the same as a smaller capacitor, but with similar operating voltage. Let me see once, what's this? Off maybe so you can see the display a little bit. I don't know if you're able to see it. Let's see if I put another little plate there. Okay, so my theory was if I turn off the radio, then I turn off the power supply. But what I'm thinking is I might know the answer to this already. There's nothing to bleed out. I'm watching the power supply light and it's just still glowing. So that means it still has a little bit of juice left in it. All right, it went out completely now. Now let me turn this back on. It kept my channel, but now I'm going to do it the same way, but I'm turning this off. I'm going to unplug the power supply for 10 seconds. And when I say unplug from the radio, I mean maybe. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, plug that back in. I'll turn the power supply back on. All right. So that's kind of interesting. If the switch is turned on, the power switch is turned on when you lose power from the power supply, like so. Then if you put power back to it, now I remembered it. I don't know, I'm losing my mind. How about this? Okay, that time it reverted back. So it must have something to do with the fact when you have the power supply, the way it dies, when you turn it off, it doesn't shut off completely. It basically just starts to lose. So whatever it's doing must be discharging that capacitor. Because heck, I turned this off and let it sit for 20, 30 seconds, plug it back in, it remembers. But if I turn off from the power supply for 10 seconds, very interesting. So yeah, it must be keeping the charging circuit open enough that it's waiting for the charge, but instead it's discharging the capacitor. But when you either turn it off or remove power, it immediately shuts down that circuit so the capacitor holds its energy for an undetermined period of time. All right, well, that's kind of solved one problem. Anyhow, back to it. Let me stick it back the way it was and order some caps. So we probably have put an hour into playing around with the capacitor when that wasn't the issue. All right, good job. All right, apparently this is going to be the service that never ends. So I took this radio upstairs and hooked it to an antenna. Made a couple contacts on upper sideband. FM and AM on 10-meter band. Worked pretty good. The only problem was when I first turned it on, I thought maybe I didn't plug the speaker in correctly because I had no sound whatsoever. I went to take these screws out, and when I took them out, voila, all of a sudden I had sound. Ah. So I don't think it's hitting that capacitor. I've already showed you how it was, because there's no way this went in that far. But it seemed more like when the board, the frame of the radio was torquing because of these screws was the issue. So, that being said, I am going to see what happens when I take these out. I know there's those two areas where there's a regulator and I believe also the audio amp are mounted to the metal frame, but they are also attached to the circuit board. So let me just pause while I take the rest of this apart. All right, let's see if we can simulate the problem. Turn the powers in, red to red, power red, we got that. All right. Yep, there it is. Let me see. Oh, actually I do see a disconnected lead. I'm going to zoom in with the microscope and hopefully it will work. Pause this while I get this all together. Alright, this is all the closer I can get, and hopefully you'll see. I'll get a little pointer right here. This little lead right here. See if you can see it move. You can already see that it doesn't look like the best connection. It actually moving away from the solder. So what I'll do is kind of rebend it a little bit so it has a little more play, and then solder it back in. So let me get the ye old solder and heat it back up. Let me turn the temperature down on it a bit, probably about 660 or so. There's my solder sucker here. Alright, get some of the solder off of it where that tip was dirty. There we go. I'm going to push it back a little bit. make sure get some more of that solder cleaned off of there. Well, I see a problem already. If you can see with me, that whole trace is broken off there. So, since that trace is actually broken, it actually makes life a little easier for what I want it to do. I'll straighten this lead out a little bit, because I had originally thought of pulling that off and running a wire so it would have more flexibility, but since the trace is broken, we definitely have to run a wire. So let me just get a small try and do this without burning the microscope. I got it heated there. And it's heated on. Get this to make sure it melts into that solder nice and good. That looks good. Good. Let me see. Make sure that I got a good contact on here. Good. Let me just clean it up a little bit now. Clean it up and get another look at it. That nice thin lead should give a little bit more play so that when it doesn't want to move, it doesn't crack any more of the board. A little bit of stuff on this. Oops, I moved the camera again while I was toothbrushing. got that done. And there's no shorts. The other ones look like they need touched up. I don't want to mess around with the circuit board too much. Let's give it a try. This guy out of the way. All right, come back here. And come on, there you go. And let's see, you want to look right here where my finger's at, this area right there. All right. And I got to flip it over and connect the speaker back up. So I'm going to zoom this back out. Put this back in here like so. There's the speaker. Yeah, if you look when you plug this on, it can, it's very easy to just catch one pin and not both. So you have to kind of look down in there and make sure you got them both. That looks good. And I'll pull the jumper out and put it back for just 28 megahertz. Make sure that that works correctly too. Because, you know, in the states here, it's illegal to transmit with more than 4 watts on the CB band. I think it's 4 or is it 5? I don't remember, but definitely 10's out of the limit. Not that 10's that much. I'm sure there's people out there that are pushing 1,000 or something, but let me turn the lights back on. It's awful dark in here now. I'm off for the TV. No wonder I was having such a hard time soldering. Here we go. Okay. That's plugged in. That's plugged in. Let me get this crap out of the way. On. Stop. Stand that up so we have some regular noise. And find a 50-pound weight to put on this thing so it quits vibrating. There. Okay. So we'll get it under so we're looking at the whole thing again here. Come on, stand up. Or at least, I guess I have to lean it against something. All right, ready? Oh, I thought I heard a noise. Okay. All right, I have a alignment tool. It's got a broken end on it. It's ceramic, so that shouldn't do anything. I'm putting a decent amount of pressure on these, and all of them are I think we're satisfactory. Looking at this little bit of flux that didn't get cleaned off. This was the original from the factory flux. Or like a little rock. All right. I think we're ready to go back together again. I want to see if I can maybe just put a zipper on this. There's a screw missing right here. I don't know for sure that there was ever one there, but I bet there should have been one there. And when it's tapped and it goes into the case. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to flip it over and make sure that there's nothing that would hit. If it does, no, it wouldn't hit anything. All right, let's see if I can find a correct screw for that. And we'll put this thing back together. All right, we'll give it a shot before I take it upstairs and try plugging it in again and also put back together. Hi, Taz. Of course, he won't say anything while we're standing here with him, but Taz is the one that makes all the sounds. He does all my sound effects, the whistles and everything else. Maybe without the camera light on, it'll be a little more. Yeah, that beak would rip your finger right off. All right, Taz, not gonna say anything? I'm sure you'll be whistling in a few minutes.
Uniform, Delta Lima 5, Sierra Echo Uniform, calling CQ and standing by.
Kilo Alpha 3, Alpha Juliet India.
Kilo Alpha 3, please come again, over.
That is Kilo Alpha 3, Alpha Juliet India, AJI. Copy?
Hey, I got a Kilo Alpha 3, Alpha Juliet India, Kilo Alpha 3, Alpha Juliet India.
That is QSL. QSL name is Tim, Tango India Mike, Tango India Mike, and I'm in Pennsylvania. Copy?
Okay, well, I heard Pennsylvania, that's all I got. The signal is 5 and 0. There's no S-meter reading right now, Tim. No S-meter reading right now. You're 5 and 0. And the name is Sebastian, and I'm running a bit of power. I'm running 750 watts to a 4-element here on 10 meters. Tim, 5 and 0. But I've got your information on Sirius.com. I'll put it back to you. Let's see.
All right, Sebastian, very good. You are about a 5 and 6 here, 5 and 6 into Pennsylvania, and I am running 25 watts on a mobile radio into a gap antenna. I'll be clear with you on your final, KA3 AJI.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it seems to be working, so that'll be a wrap on this, and stay tuned for more exciting episodes of Can We Get the Ranger Up and Running. Well, it is running, but I'll probably recap it in the future. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Take care. Be sure to click like and all that other stuff. Bye. Bye-bye. 5 and 6. 5 and 6.